It was an unremarkable house, really. A two-story Victorian, nestled at the end of a long, winding lane that seemed to disappear into the encroaching woods. Yet, there was something about it that chilled the blood. A sense of wrongness that hung in the air like a palpable fog. Sarah inherited the house from a distant relative she barely knew. Intrigued by the isolation and the house's Gothic charm, she decided to spend a summer there, writing her next novel. The first few days were peaceful. The house creaked and groaned as old houses do, and the wind whispered through the trees with a haunting melody, but it was the kind of eerie that inspired rather than frightened. But then, things began to change. Strange occurrences started to happen. Doors opened and closed without a draft. Shadows seemed to move on their own, and a cold draught would sweep through the house, even on the warmest days. Then there were the sounds, soft whispers, like distant conversations carried on the wind. But these whispers were inside the house. One night, a particularly violent storm raged outside. As the wind howled and rain lashed against the house, Sarah was awoken by a chilling sound. It was a child's laughter, sweet and innocent, yet tinged with an undercurrent of sorrow. The laughter seemed to emanate from the basement, a place she had avoided since her arrival. Curiosity, mixed with a healthy dose of fear, compelled her to investigate. The basement was a dank, subterranean chamber filled with shadows and the musty scent of decay. As she descended the creaking stairs, the child's laughter grew louder, more insistent. At the bottom of the stairs, a figure emerged from the darkness. It was a small child with eyes that held an ancient wisdom far beyond its years. The child's smile was enchanting, yet there was a coldness to it, a detachment that sent shivers down Sarah's spine. The child reached out a tiny hand and beckoned her deeper into the darkness. As Sarah hesitated, the child's laughter turned to a haunting wail, and the basement was plunged into utter darkness. Fear gripped her as she realized she was not alone in the basement, and whatever was there, it wanted her. Sarah stumbled backward, her heart pounding in her chest. The darkness was absolute, save for the faint, eerie glow of the child's eyes. A cold dread seeped into her bones as she realized she was utterly alone in the depths of the house. Then she heard it, a whisper, soft and ethereal, like wind rustling through dry leaves. It was a woman's voice, ancient and mournful. The voice spoke of loss, of sacrifice, of a child stolen by shadows. A chilling realization washed over Sarah. The house was not just haunted, it was a prison, and the child was its captive. As the woman's voice grew louder, the basement seemed to shift and change. Shadows morphed into grotesque shapes, their eyes burning with an unnatural intensity. The temperature dropped dramatically, and a cold, damp mist began to fill the room. Sarah felt a growing sense of despair. She was trapped, a prisoner in a nightmare of her own making. With a surge of adrenaline, Sarah ignited a match. The flickering flame cast dancing shadows on the walls, revealing a hidden doorway. Hope flared within her. Perhaps there was a way out of this nightmare. The doorway led to a long, winding corridor, its walls adorned with strange symbols and disturbing images. The room beyond was bathed in a soft, ethereal light. In the center of the room, suspended in a cocoon of light, was the child. Its eyes were closed, its face serene. As Sarah approached, the child's eyes opened. They held a wisdom beyond comprehension, a sadness that pierced Sarah's heart. The child reached out a tiny hand, and Sarah took it. A surge of energy flowed through her, a connection forming between them. In that moment, Sarah understood. The child was not a prisoner, it was a guardian. The house was a place of healing, a sanctuary for lost souls, and she, Sarah, had been chosen to help set the child free. With a final, heart-wrenching cry, the child vanished, leaving behind a sense of peace. The house seemed to sigh in relief, the oppressive atmosphere lifting. As the first rays of dawn touched the old Victorian, Sarah emerged from the house, a changed woman. The house at the end of the lane would forever hold a special place in her heart. It was a place of darkness and light, of sorrow and redemption. And as she turned to leave, she knew that while the house remained, its secrets were finally at rest.